but life is more complicated than that. And I think that that's kind of the movie. It's like, I think I cried more in this movie, which I really resented, right?
So you don't like to cry.
We're back.
We are back. Believe it or not. Okay. So remember, subscribe and like
Is that a
us.
pen?
All right.
Let's watch the clip, right?
No.
So I think that it's you.
My movie, yes.
Yes.
Oh, he didn't set that up.
My movie is Three Idiots. It's a Bollywood thing, Indian movie.
It's
so
Bollywood.
let's watch a clip.
लाइफ एक रेस अगर तेज नहीं दौड़ोगे तो कोई तुम्हें कुचल कर आगे निकल जाएगा।
हम सब तो कॉलेज सिर्फ डिग्री पाने के लिए जाते थे। डिग्री नहीं होगी तो नौकरी नहीं होगी, नौकरी नहीं होगी तो कोई बाप अपनी बेटी नहीं देगा, बैंक क्रेडिट कार्ड नहीं देगी, दुनिया रिस्पेक्ट नहीं देगी। लेकिन वो साला कॉलेज डिग्री के लिए नहीं, सिर्फ पढ़ने के लिए आया था। रैंचो, रणछोड़ दास, श्यामल दास, चांचड़, जितना अलग साले का नाम था उतनी ही अलग सोच। सर आप जानते हैं हम कौन है?
प्राइम मिनिस्टर का बेटे हो तो भी आई विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट योर पेपर।
सर आपको हमारा नाम और रोल नंबर पता है? नहीं पता है।
अच्छा एक बात बता, do you really feel किस करने में नाक बीच में आती है?
एक दिन मैं चला जाऊंगा पिया, एकदम से, बगैर बताए, दी एंड। बहती हवा सा था वो, उड़ती पतंग सा था वो, कहाँ गया उसे ढूंढो।
ये जो अपना दिल है ना, बड़ा डरपोक है यार। इसको बेवकूफ बना के रखो। लाइफ में कितनी भी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो ना, उसको बोलो कोई बात नहीं चाचू, सब ठीक ठाक है, ऑल इज वेल, ऑल इज वेल, और उससे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी। नहीं लेकिन उसको झेलने की हिम्मत आ जाती है। कभी ने बाबा को स्कूटर पे ले आया तो क्या स्पीड पोस्ट से भेजता?
Anyway, so yeah, the Three Idiots. So the movie, it's Bollywood, obviously. It follows Farhan, Raju, and Rancho. These are three students. Let's make sure there's more trailers here. It follows this three students who get into this university, and it's for engineering. And it goes into each one's family story and what they need to succeed in this university, become the best, engineer. So the movie kind of goes into, but the movie actually what it is that one of the guys is Farhan, Raju, and Rancho. Rancho, who's almost in the movie he helps the other guys, but then he disappears. So the movie starts with them trying to find Rancho because there's another student who makes a bet with them, that he's going to be more successful than any of them. And then the movie starts with him sending him a letter to them to meet up. And then where he tells them that he's been more successful than all of them. But they still don't know where Rancho is. So all three of them now go and find Rancho, who's very instrumental in the movie. He's almost like a Zen character in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's basically a movie. It's about the stress of being in college. It's young, 3 or 4, I guess, of all the students in a university trying to succeed, and how stressful that is. I mean, just stressful. The movie shows you that's so stressful to the point that some of them commit suicide. So, and I was telling Susie that this movie, it could be any culture really.
Yeah.
And I just found out that there's a Spanish one called Tres Idiotas. When it's the same movie remade in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's a college in Monterey, and it makes total sense because also the Spanish culture, the Asian culture, they're gonna go through the same thing. You want to succeed because you come from a poor family. To me, I mean, I really enjoy this movie. This character, Rancho, he's like a magical character.
Yeah.
He's like a guru.
Like a guru. He's sent. He's got this. The college has have so much rule now. Going to college, I would say, so stressful, and everybody wants to succeed, but he's got this outlook on it that it's like, who cares? Just his point of view is go to college to learn, not to get a job to make money, and I think that's the message the movie's trying to give you to
Follow your
to
passion.
learn, follow your passion. Yeah, and he tells them to follow your passion. Like we learned that some of the students have a different talent or something that they want to do, but because of their families, the family tells you, you're gonna be a doctor. Okay, sure, I'll be a doctor. You're gonna, in India, you're gonna be an engineer. Okay, so you just go to be an engineer, even though you wanted to be a photographer, which is one of the students wants to be. So they're learning through him that follow your passion. And later in the movie, we find out that because he goes to school, we helps him along. He's kind of a rebel, and then he disappears. And as the movie goes along, we find out later that why he disappears, what his story is. So the movie, I mean, I really enjoyed it because it took me back to my college years too.
Right.
The whole stress and everything, and just being successful. And when you come from sometimes from a minority family, you have to be a certain thing, but if you have a different passion in like music or photography or whatever,
Right.
so you're really going against your family. But this guy's, I think the movie's a message to people. It's really funny. I thought the movie, again, like a lot of Indian films, it's a little too long. I mean,
A lot of dancing,
a
a
lot
lot of dancing.
dance, but. And of course, their dancing was good, but it was nowhere near RRR. Those guys are serious.
Yeah.
But I think it had good messages. There was a principal in the movie who's Professor Viru, who's really funny too, and he's like the comedic character. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. So it was like, to me, Rancho is what it kept reminding me of Sheldon from
Right.
Big Bang Theory. And somebody else, Forrest Gump.
Right.
For me, it was Sheldon Forrest Gump, and he was just. And if you do a Coen Brothers movie, he's the one with a message.
Yeah.
Coen's movie, there's always one guy with a message.
Right.
So I really like the character, and yeah, it's just slice of life. I enjoyed it.
Well,
I just there's a kid with cancer on the screen.
He could just be a bald person.
We're talking about it. Well, to steal an old joke, I left after the first idiot. I just, this was not the movie for me. It reminded me of there was a film that Luc Besson made called The Adventures of Adele Blanc-Sec, which was a thing about, it's based on some early 20th century comic strip and the adventures of this young woman. And I watched it, and I love Luc Besson's movies, but it was like, the humor was so totally French that I didn't get it. And this was like this. I didn't get the humor in this. This was just like three idiots. And I lasted about 15 minutes and said, I'm just, it's not for me. So I'm not qualified to say anything more about it than that.
Next.
okay. So sometimes it's hard for me to critique like foreign movies, especially Indian movies, as there are some cultural norms that are different than our cultural norms. For example, I get taken aback when they start breaking out dancing or singing. It's like, but I've grown to be accustomed to this is normal in Indian movies. In an American or a Western movie, it would be kind of hokey. People go, what?
Except for all Hollywood, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers,
well, yes,
all Hollywood.
yes. That's true. That's true. But they're known as musicals.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I've become more familiar since I've been participating in this podcast. Also, Indian Bollywood movies are quite long, you know, as
Yes, they
opposed to
are.
they're about an hour longer than our movies, right? Generally. It's almost 3 hours long. It's put as a comedy, but this is like kind of much more than a comedy.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Huh?
Definitely
It's-
agree.
there's comedic moments, but and I really laughed. It was really amusing and funny. But this it's more than that. These three young men are they're engineer students at a very good university, but they're not from wealthy families. Sometimes we don't know who is doing the teaching, the students or the teachers. You know what I mean? It's like like you said, they have sometimes the students are teaching the teachers.
Well, Rancho in this case.
Yeah. Life is not all about good grades. That's kind of life is not all about suffering. Life is not always about good grades. Life is not always about, if that was it, it would be easy. But life is more complicated than that. And I think that that's kind of the movie. It's like, I think I cried more in this movie, which I really resented, right?
Susie don't like to cry.
Than I did in,
Sardar Muhammad.
yeah. I was like, this is like, because it's kind of corny, but
it's sweet.
really is good. I mean, it's really good. It's good in a corny way. So, but I've noticed, like I said, when you deal with different cultures, you have to just put yourself in a different place.
Right.
And now I'm more used to Indian movies. And this is a good one. Patty?
You know, when I watched, as Bob says, the first 15 minutes, I thought it was very hokey. Perfect word.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hokey. And I thought, you know, it was like they were trying to be funny, but they weren't funny. You know, nothing was like
Over the top.
Nothing
Like a
was
sitcom.
funny. And they cried all the way through this bloody movie. I mean, they kept crying. Everybody, tears. But I got to say, as light as it came off, everything came off. I went back and made myself watch it, right? Because, you know, Bob,
You're a better man than I am. Susie.
literally. Okay. So I made myself watch it, and I realized it was really a deep movie. It's about, I thought, was a social
The meaning of
statement
life.
about the education system and the pressure it puts on students.
Yes.
But and they did it really well. The dancing, not that good. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've seen better.
Yeah, right.
And but
Our-
that
our
song
was
sticks.
much better.
That song does stick in my head, right? Which I hate to say does stick in my head. When I started hearing it, I started singing along to it. I loved the relationship between the three friends, and I love that they call them three idiots, because if you're looking from the
Outside?
well, from the educational level, they are idiots. They come off as idiots. But if you look from the idiot side, they're really smart.
No, exactly.
Well,
I
they're
totally
geniuses.
agree.
No,
I
they're
totally agree.
geniuses.
Who's
Yeah.
the teacher and who's
Yeah.
the
Well, the
student?
whole,
Right.
Yeah.
the baby part.
And which part in
it's
our
their
own
geniuses.
lives,
Yeah.
which side are we on? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I always think it reflects what
Yeah.
we're going through.
Good point.
So it's one of those things where I didn't think it was going to get that deep. It
I
got really
know.
deep, but still staying very light. Like,
Yes.
oh, you know, woman's in the middle of nowhere having a baby, but they made it funny. But it's not funny. It's
Because the baby almost dies.
yeah, but
But it shows how they're geniuses, actually.
Yeah.
Engineers.
and the ending I thought was beautiful. I
Yeah.
thought it was a great ending.
Yeah.
And that guy Rancho, was it Rancho? The
Rancho,
guru?
yeah.
The guru.
Yeah.
Took me a while to catch on to that. I knew he was different,
Reyes.
but yeah. Was it Rios? Was it Rancho?
Rancho.
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 Right,
He was
yeah.
like a,
See, I had
he
to
was,
write down Rancho.
Rancho.
he was like the magical character. Actually.
Right, yeah. I actually, and watching Raj and Fehan, is that how you say Fehan?
Farhan.
Fahar?
Fine.
With their little problems that's governing their entire life.
Which is always centered around their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But that's part of the Indian culture.
Was
you
I
know?
going to
But
say
also when
that
they
we
did-
don't really actually.
But also when they did a Spanish version of it, it related completely. I mean, it's just
But
doesn't
it's a world.
change.
I think it's a
It
worldwide
related
thing.
completely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
That-
sort of
that-
like a good comedian.
I had that issue with you. There wasn't a minority family. This was an Indian family, and they're in India, so there's no minority. They were just
No,
poor.
It's just a minority. It's supposed to. It's
That's
poor.
very
It's class.
universal.
It's class. It's more
Yeah.
class than yeah, right.
But I think this is universal. I don't think. Yeah,
Oh,
you could
everybody,
put
yeah.
it any-
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
poor. It's poor.
Lon,
Yep. Oh, well, I agree with you about the opening because literally when I saw the opening, I'm expecting because I didn't see the trailer, but if you saw pictures for it, it's 3 of them on like a scooter,
Right.
3 of them in the cans and looking crazy.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, this is just maybe too zany for me to
Yeah,
watch.
right.
So I've actually skipped it because this sort of came on my radar as a recommendation to me. And it's like, no. It wasn't until we did RRR that somebody named CRBS99 commented about how 3 idiots. And I said, you know what? I sort of want to do it. So you poked me, so now I'm going to watch it.
Right.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Except this is the weird part. I'm watching the beginning, and it has to do with Farhan's character gets a message, and he has to get off a plane that's basically taking off.
Right.
And he does. And I said, actually, that's pretty smart. How is he an idiot? So then I realized his other friend who forgets his pants as they're trying to find it. It's like, okay, maybe he's the idiot. But so as they try to explain the story, I think it's really fascinating that you're right. That's like, oh no, this is going to be the goofy comedy I'm expecting.
Right.
Then it takes, like you said, the pressures of this, ICE, Institute of College
Engineering.
College of Engineering or something. That it's like, wow, the pressures. Because even at the beginning, Farhan's character is talking about how he's born like at 5:15. And then at 5:16, his father announces, oh, you're going to be an engineer,
Yes.
right? A minute after he's born. So it's weird because after RRR, I sort of studied a little bit more about the Indian culture because I thought, okay, you're right. I'm not getting something.
Right.
Now, the major thing for me is something called Dharma.
Oh,
Which is
Dharma,
what
sure.
you had said about like not follow your dreams or follow your passion kind of thing. Dharma, according to my understanding, maybe I haven't quite gotten it, is that you have a life to live a certain way. Only you know what that way is and you're going to do it, right? So all these American films where we say, oh yeah, you have to follow your passion, follow this, stay true to yourself in a way.
Right.
That apparently is in the Indian culture as, I'm assuming, a philosophy, possibly religious aspects of it, right? That, which is why when I thought about it, I watched RRR, it's like, oh, now his character made more sense to me when I kept saying, how can he go when he's killing Indians? Because he knew he had to get a goal. And when he finally said, I have to stop this because one guy with one song can inspire a nation.
Right.
And it's not just me just trying to get guns anymore, right? So that's how I watched 3 Idiots then. So I'm watching these 3 guys and their goals. And I have to admit, the 3 actors, I think you're right. I think all 3 of them are good. But I have to admit, Aadmir Khan, with those impish looking eyes, he has like a weird charm. I mean, I'm chuckling just with his facial expressions. He was the lead in Lagan that I think I told you about Once Upon a Time in India. That was one of the first Bollywood, or they called it a Bollywood movie, but the
These are
Indian
Bollywood.
films that I saw 3.5 years, or it was 3.5 hours from that, about the Indians playing against British in a cricket game.
Yeah, right.
Cricket game. So it's like, but I just thought, oh, he's the actor. I recognized him immediately.
That sounds
right?
like a wonderful movie.
I've heard
It
of
got
this movie.
nominated for best foreign
He does
film.
have a certain look to him.
Exactly.
Charm.
And it's the one that got me into the fact that they'd break out singing.
Right.
Because that I did not know at the time. So here watching this film, it's like, okay, the songs break out. In fact, I thought a couple of them were very catchy. You saw the All Is Well. And there's a little love song that Pada, when she sings up on the scooter.
No, it's in my head.
I thought that one, exactly. I thought it was just very odd that it did go extremely serious with the pressures of being in a school. And I'm assuming also pressures of not disappointing your family. Because you see that highly in 2 different characters. In fact, actually 3 different characters in my opinion. One gets revealed at the end.
Right.
So it took me way out of my comfort zone because, like, okay, yeah, here's a zany comedy. Then something happens, like, oh my god, it's
way
really
more
shocking.
The approach was really different than I'm used
So
to.
it's something that was very odd for me to watch, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie because I really agreed with the philosophy behind it. Especially, like you said, the fact that the Rancho character is saying, oh no, you got to do what you're meant to do. He's telling them, and even one of them is to become an engineer. And he's saying, no, just study hard, but just don't give up. But just notice that if you don't become one, this isn't going to be the end of your life.
Right.
And that's what I sort of appreciated because Raju's character, who comes from a very poor family, and one of the scenes I happen to like is they said, oh, he seems like an old Bollywood black and white movie. And so they switched to it,
they
right?
go back and back every
And see,
time.
that's the kind of Bollywood movie I remember seeing, like the World of Apu movies, that Sajid Ray did.
Well, they
It's
weren't
like, yeah.
Bollywood movies, though.
Well, they were Indian films, but that
Yeah,
is
but
saying.
they
But see, that's why even people comment about using the term Bollywood, that they find it offensive. It's like, oh, why do you always have to relate it to Hollywood? No, they're Indian films.
Oh.
So, and that's
to
that's
know.
why
A
that's why it's
50s
very
Indian
interesting. Because, like you said, when you said Tollywood, you said that on RRR, and it's like I didn't even know there was a Tollywood, and then all of a sudden we're hearing there's Pollywood, Mollywood,
that's a lot of them, yes,
Sandalwood.
yes.
All the different territories have their own film community. So that's why, to me, I just knew Sajid Ray was one of the major film directors of Indian cinema that I had watched, and he was basically the only one. So the more current ones I'm watching, and now especially after watching the RRR and the
Let's not
Bahubali
forget Mira
films.
Nair.
That's what I'm saying. Even her films were not, her films were ones I would actually consider cinema, because they don't have musical numbers in it.
Right.
She was, and don't forget, she also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she did mostly American Indian films.
Yeah, but
and
her
then
first one was
made,
Shakespeare Wallow.
right. And then made actually Indian
Indian
films, which I thought that was more fascinating to me because she at least was doing it with sort of a Western perspective as well for me.
Yeah.
But this film, I was really impressed. I will say that I did like you had mentioned, the three leads. That was Aadmir Khan, R. Madhavan, and what is it? Bowman, Irani, Sharman, Joshi. Oh no, excuse me. I'm sorry. Sharman Joshi was Raju. The character that Dr. Shabashtad Buddha.
Yeah.
I thought he was great too, playing that. Omi Vaidua, yes, who played Chatur, I thought was really good too. And then Kareena Kapoor as Pia, his love interest.
Or
I thought all three of them were really good characters in it as well. They really added to sort of the fun of the movie, because that's the thing, is I was surprised how fun it was. I just was sort of surprised how jarring. There are a couple scenes that literally just slap you right in the face. I mean, this fun comes to a screeching
A
halt.
screeching halt.
yeah, because
Yeah.
the thing about when you're in poverty like that, you have to
Mhm.
you have to succeed. So if you don't,
And not only that, but the situations you find
Yeah.
yourself in poverty
Right.
are different.
but
They're
also, but I think Rancho, that character, to me, he made two points in the movie, which was one was, well, follow your passion, but the other one was about teaching. He was telling the teachers,
Oh, you mean Rancho?
Rancho,
Yeah.
He was telling the teachers, you're not teaching it right. You're not teaching people. You're not
Right.
teaching the kids to learn.
Exactly.
You're teaching them to pass exams,
Right.
Which is what we do now, actually. In the
Yeah,
US. You know, you teach kids to pass exam, not to actually learn
Mhm.
and enjoy a subject, to crack it.
Right.
you know.
No, exactly. He points that in a
Yes.
class. But and I just thought, even the all is well that sets up for, I thought was actually a very funny joke towards the end in a very serious moment, because I was sort of startled when that happens. Like, I actually started laughing out loud. Said, that's a perfect setup for that joke.
I really understand that, because I am not a religious person
Mhm.
at all. In fact, I'm kind of anti.
Just
But I have
Yeah.
to tell you, one time I was stuck in the Rocky Mountains and thrown off a cliff by a truck in a snowstorm
Oh, my
with
goodness.
Jenny, my daughter, who
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I think she was about 11 years old, right? And we were thrown off because they didn't even notice, right? They close it off,
Oh,
right?
right.
So there was a huge truck threw us off.
A rig.
And there, every 20 miles, there's these kind of things. which I happened to get thrown off in. And I have to tell you, I did Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, all the way to get it started, down the hill, till I got out of that mountain. I did it. And it was very reassuring.
Oh, interesting.
So I
Wow.
really get that. So it was kind of like, there's some situations that there is just no other solution but that.
Okay. Bye, Patty.
You want to give a score?
Yeah, what's your score for Three Idiots?
8.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow, she did like that.
On the floor.
Yeah, and I also noticed that one of the characters in it who played a small little role in it, who played the character called Joy, the first sort of tragic character in the movie.
Joy.
He was played by Ali Fazal, and I recognize him because
He's the one that wanted to create that
right, the drone.
The drone thing that was
Right.
flying.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the one that hanged himself. Because when
Spoilers.
Yes.
Oh shit! Oh damn it! I'll cut this.
That's okay. But
Yeah, like
but
I
no.
said, this movie actually
It's deep.
is,
It's the
Right.
movie.
it was said comedy.
Yes,
But
well, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
not
It's very
there are
serious.
com- there is very funny parts of it,
Mhm.
and things are funny.
It's a comedy drama.
Yeah.
But
But,
it's there's
But like I said, they play it up as a
Way
zany, crazy comedy,
but
and so
it's
that's
wrong,
what I
yeah.
was expecting.
Exactly. Yeah.
yes.
So those are the moments. But this Ali Fazal, he was the one who played Abdul in Victorian Abdul. I was looking, I said, I know that guy, and then I kept staring, and then when I heard him finally talk, it's like, oh, that's where he's from. Like basically 15, 20 years later. So, but yes, I would highly recommend this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed. This was my favorite movie out of all of them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. I agree with you. Okay. So are we going to?
Rated. So
Yeah.
what did Patty give it?
I'm
gave it
I'm
a-
gonna do Patty.
Yeah, you go
Oh, it's
first.
your
then.
movie.
Yeah.
I'm not. I didn't see it. So
Should see it.
Yeah.
Me, I give it a 9. Patty gave it an
An
8.
Yeah.
Patty had to go feed dogs. Yeah.
I gave this one a 7.
Yeah. I'll give
Oh,
it
you gave it a 7? Oh,
We're getting into the stratosphere.
God.
This one took me to
You still my heart.
to the stress of my college years. So I'll give it a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it, right?
Can we eat now?
Well,
Hold
after
on.
she finishes
Hold
up.
on. Okay. This concludes episode 57. And so remember to like us and subscribe, as always, which I'm sure you do. You can also, I hope you'll,
If you have any movie that you want us to do,
Yeah, that's a good.
Comment.
yeah, like you did,
Just
there's
leave a
movies too.
comment.
yeah,
just let
I
us know.
hope you enjoyed our discussion, and I hope you might watch a few of these movies. And then you can give us feedback on what you think about the movies. We would really like to know. And then, so until next time,
and we learn.
adios.
Bye.
Bye.